Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With over 2 decades of experience, a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and thousands of successfully completed projects in both entertainment and advertising. You're in the right place if you like hearing some good old filmmaking stories. On this podcast, we will discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from across the last 20 years and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the Archives.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today on Retrospec from the Archives, where we discuss projects from the past that we have successfully completed and dissect some of the problems that we have solved in that process, because we love filmmaking and we love talking about filmmaking here. So today with me, I've got Brandon Forbes and Jessica Hightower.
Hello.
I was going to give you guys really unique titles. This is where I like to drag out the intros, but I'm not going to do it this time.
That's all right. Yeah. We're not that unique.
Yeah.
Pre-pro, producing, client management, all the difficult things, all the things that nobody really actually wants to do.
The spreadsheets.
That are the most important things to make film production happen. Everybody wants to be a director, but directors are all starving and sleeping in newspapers right now. So, so we're going to dig in today to a very specific project that was really amazing. Just came up here very recently, and it was for the Department of Commerce, which is awesome. We are located in Oklahoma, and we love doing work for the state of Oklahoma that promotes Oklahoma. And this project specifically had the initiative of just showing that Oklahoma is a great place to work, live, function. This is a really good state to be in, to have a job, have a family, all those different things. So we were approached by ICG, which is a really incredible ad agency in Oklahoma City. And the creative was very developed at that point. And so I'll dig a little bit into that creative. But the creative had a lot of implications on the way that it would be produced, as does all creative and all scripts. So I'll just start us off talking about that, and then we can kind of talk about the execution of it. So this project, the objective was, artistically to mimic a Wes Anderson style, which was kind of interesting because obviously, in the last 4 to 6 weeks, it flared up on TikTok, this make your own Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
So props to ICG for being above the trend, since this was already written months and months ago. So, but the objective was to mimic this Wes Anderson vibe, which for me, I do love Wes Anderson, mainly because he's very specific. Some of his films I like, some I don't like, but I do love the fact that he has a very true sense to the way he likes to tell stories. And I think that intention makes him very interesting. So many other directors, you could watch 10 of their films and literally have no idea the same person did it. Every Wes Anderson film, it's Wes Anderson. So this project was traveling across the state of Oklahoma, showing things from jobs to fun activities to normal everyday living experiences, and telling the story of what it looks like when you dive down into this flyover state and show how incredible it is to live in Oklahoma. So without going too deep into the details, essentially I was taking some of the constructs of Wes Anderson, which might be whip pans in, whip pans out, very symmetrical framing, very square framing, a lot of these different artistic elements that are very stylistic in the wardrobing and the propping and the casting to give it this flavor that stood out amongst many other things. And I really, really think we nailed that. But before I go too much farther, one other note was that we had to do it really, really quick. So, which is not uncommon. I think every project that hits us is like, hey, we have this amazing thing that has to be done yesterday. Yep. And I think that's where we shine. I think that honestly, part of having, a huge production team here is that we can do stuff like that when others are terrified of it. So why don't I hand it off to you, Forbes, maybe, and talk about kind of your perception on this project as it first came into our lap.
Yeah. I remember we got the email and we're like, shoot us over the mood board. And so they sent us over the Millinote, which is been used more and more recently, which is really helpful. And then I just remember the first like initial shock of like looking at it and just being like, oh, okay, so it's like 30 something locations, tons of talent, very specific wardrobe and art direction, obviously, because Wes Anderson style. And then I was like, okay, so Maddie's basically like just went to attack it and was like, hey, don't touch Maddie for like 3 weeks. It's like, sorry, we have 2 weeks to do this and then a week-long shoot. So, and then we just, like, we got off the phone and then we literally just started emailing and calling these places. And I think it ended up being like 33 total locations. And I know Jess took on like the majority of the talent, and I was kind of schedule locations, trying to, because these places that they wanted to do, hey, hadn't been contacted. And so then you have to call, and they're like cold calling and being like, hey, here's this thing that we want to do. And it's very unique, a lot of the stuff that we're asking, because it's this different, unique style. Like, it's not just, hey, can we show up and film stuff? It's like, hey, we want to bring in art, and we want to have different, we may adjust things at your location. Is that okay? And then one of the big things was this house scene that they wanted to find. And I remember Jess sent me it was the Frank Lloyd Wright house. It just went up for sale. Yes. And she sent me a message and was like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we got this? And so she sent me like a contact, and I just kind of started, and then we ended up like getting, and it, like things just kept like falling into place, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be so good. And then unfortunately, I had a vacation that we had booked like in October of last year.
Selfish.
I know. I'm going to take a 1 week of vacation. It's going to be great. I'm going to be able to relax. And up until like 3 weeks before the vacation, I was like, this is going to be perfect. There's nothing going on when I come back or while I'm gone. And then I literally, like, I had a week to do stuff, and then I was gone, and then I came back. And so Jess took over and then basically finished it. Yeah. Which I know for you was probably, you're like, okay, let me just look at the spreadsheet and see what has to be done.
Yes, yeah.
Jess, why don't you dive in a little bit on, I don't know, just a square one for you. Obviously, talent's not new for you. You've handled that a lot, and you produce a lot of the various projects we do as well. But this was a big one, and it was kind of nice because I think you guys worked in tandem. Like, I took it this far, finished these elements out, I'm back, I'll carry this torch, you carry that torch. But let me hear your opinions.
Well, it was super fun when Brandon was on vacation, because I got to kind of dive right on in. But I tried not to bother Brandon a whole bunch, or like little questions. I'd be like, I know you're in Mexico, I'm sorry. Here's a question. He's like, oh, this. But I tried to take everything and finish it as much as I could. I mean, I had to, because as soon as he got back, it was just time to hit the ground running. So it was game time, go time, Jessica. So it was actually really fun contacting a lot of the people and making sure that like they knew what time we were showing up, all of this stuff. But then casting was also fun too, because some of the people were new people that we have never casted before. Like, I had to create an Asian family for the Frank Lloyd Wright house in the back, and they all looked so amazing together, and they acted like a family by the end of it. They were like, can you take our picture? So it was really fun. But some of our Retrospec employees were talent in some of the spots. So it was really, really cool to be a part of that.
Expand a little bit on the approach to talent, because I think that there's not always like a rule, but I feel like there's some projects where we're like, these have to be great actors, cast actors, audition them, judge their talent level, judge their look, their skill. Then sometimes it's like, these need to be all authentic. We're only going to cast people that are 100% real. Like, and then this was kind of a mix. It was like, I think the prerequisite was like that you're an Oklahoman, which was awesome.
Yes.
But tell me kind of how you handled that.
So some people, if it was just they had to look nice and I have worked with them before, I would put them in, like I spread out all of the things. So this location had all of these actors in it. This location had all of these actors. So I would either bring their video over or their headshot. But some people who I didn't know, I went to their talent website and I watched their demo reel or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, they'd be great for this. Or no, No, not at all. So, but it was just kind of watching the people's demo reels, looking at their headshots and just seeing who would be the best. And then the people that we worked with also in the past. So I would put them into their folders, and then I gave them to ICG and told them to look at this, tell me who you like. And so some people, I think they wanted to see a few different things from them, but the majority of the people that I said were, my picks, or we've worked with them before. Chris was like, cool, awesome.
That's great.
I like them.
And is it true that you are secretly in the background of several shots?
Yes. Yeah. I made an appearance.
We need to get you. Can we get you a set of wigs?
I know.
And some mustaches?
I know.
We should just have that as
Yes.
like just for our crew, because it always happens. They're just there's one little spot in the background. And it's so like
eyebrows.
Well, and I told Jason, I was like, well, I was in another shot and you saw the back of my head, and he was like, you're not the only brunette woman in Oklahoma. And I was like, okay, that's true. You won't know it's me, but you never know. You're like, there's Jessica's head.
We're gonna get some adhesive mustaches for you.
Perfect.
It's gonna happen, and then
Perfect.
tuck your hair up into a hat or something like that.
Goodness.
Well, to expand a little bit on the artistic side too, for me. So one, I will say you guys did an incredible job. That project was very smooth, which was incredible. I was really, and considering all the things against us, I think one thing that we did that I appreciated, and I think maybe this comes with years of experience, is doing what you do well without being mega stressed out, because you can do what you do well. You know what I mean? Like, you can get stressed out like, oh my gosh, we have to cast. Anybody can say that. But we've casted lots of people, hundreds, thousands of people in projects. And you can be like, oh my gosh, we have to get all these locations. I remember like when you hit me up with just a couple things like, hey, I need an airplane. And I was like, okay. And I like called Blake Ewing. I was like, hey, I need an airplane. He's like, here, call Chase. And I called Chase and I was like, hey, Blake and GT told me to call you. And he's like, I got you, And so it was just like the couple little weird ones we worked out. But artistically for me, like one thing that I did really enjoy about this one, and I wish I did this more often, was I personally scouted it. And I think that I think any good director should do that. Any good DP should do that. We just move at such a fast pace that I, lean on a lot of you guys to say, hey, make sure it's the right thing.
It's going to be fine.
And it's okay that we do that. It's okay. But like this one, I was like, if I want to really, mimic this style and do justice to Wes Anderson here in Oklahoma, I've got to make sure I look at these locations, find the angles. I went out and shot every angle, put my eyes on it, gauged the distances, looked at the options, figured out what it was. And it was nice because even though it sounds goofy, but as a director, so much of a project moving quick, efficient, and successfully is the director getting on set and knowing exactly what they need to get and it being exactly what was supposed to be gotten, and then move on. And even though most people don't realize it, when a set runs slow, a lot of times it's because the director is trying to figure out exactly what they're doing. Well, this one didn't. It was so fast because we knew the shots we were achieving were like 4 seconds long. It's just how long would it take me to like get there, set up the camera in the right angle, set the lighting, direct the actors, shoot the shot, and get out. But because I knew everyone, it was just like we were like, here, done, here, done, here, done. I mean, sometimes we were ahead. We were still at a lot of locations.
Yeah.
But it was nice. Like, it took a lot of load off me just going, oh, man, I should make more time to go to all the locations because it just feels good.
Yeah, and Maddie and I were on the scout with you, and we were your models, like in front of the Black Wall Street mural. I'm in front of his Audi, like posted up. I look nothing like what the shot's going to look like, but he knew what he was shooting, so it was really cool.
Well, and I think it is important to give a call out to Maddie as well because Maddie, she's not sitting here today because she has this week off because of this project. But, Maddie is a very, very particular human. You don't have to ask her 3 times what she likes. It's nice. Like, you just need to describe what you're going for, and then she's like, bye.
Yep.
And she goes into her artistic realm inside of her brain, which is probably most of her brain, and just starts putting stuff together. But, we had an entire separate trailer with shelves in it, with bins in it, with labels on everything, totally filled out with all of the artistic things. And without those things, honestly, like it would have missed the mark too.
Yeah.
You had to have the casting, the locations, and the art. Without those 3 and the cinematography, But without those things, it would not hit the style.
Yeah, it was great. And even just from like obviously the creative side, but then she come up with these, I forget what she called them, but like they're like these maps, these mind maps.
Yeah, mind maps.
Mind maps is what she calls it. And you look at it and it's like, I mean, it's so detailed, and it's like you can read that and look at her stuff, and you have zero question about. You're just like, okay, yeah, this is everything that I need to know, and it was like so nice coming into it. At least for me, because I got back at basically like 1 a.m. Sunday morning, and then we were shooting Monday, and so like I was still trying to like know as much as I could, but then just knowing that it's like, okay, like everybody's doing what they're supposed to. Like we're gonna come back, and it's gonna go perfect.
Yes.
And even like when we got the project, there's like you can always have that like little moment of panic, but then I always remember I'm like, if somehow it always works out. And so it's like, okay, you give myself like 5 minutes to be stressed about it, and then it's like, okay, now we can just no more stress, just do it.
Just go kill it.
Why don't we talk a little bit now? We've talked a lot about the pre-pro and all the little broad details, but let's talk about the execution. I think, what was this? Was this 5 days?
Yeah, Monday to Friday.
5 days. So, and I think these were 12-hour days that we did.
Yeah. Yes.
Why don't
to the hour.
To the hour.
Forbes, why don't you talk just a little bit about like what putting together a well executed schedule is about and how it even is achieved?
Yeah, I mean usually and it was funny because I had a giant map still from a previous project for just anything around the state, and so just like looking at it and then just being like, okay, here's the 33 places that we need to go to. What makes the most sense and in order of what to do, and then you have on top of that, then you're also looking at, okay, when are these places open? If they are open, when are they busy? Like you don't want to go to a lunch, like a restaurant at noon or like at 5 o'clock because they're going to be busy and you're going to upset them. And so there's that, and then you have talent, because when you first cast, you're like, hey, I need people that are available I just need these 5 days.
Yes.
Don't send me people that are only available for one of them, because we don't know what the schedule is going to be, and we need them to be flexible. And so there's just like everything is trying to like pull a different way, and you somehow just have to like get everything together. And when you do and it works, it works. And so I feel like, I had kind of put together like putting everything there. Maps. Okay, here's what I think it is. Here's the time frame. And then when I was gone, you guys were scouting and adjusting. And it was one of those where like you'd get done with a day and you're just like, we did a lot, but it worked and it was good. And like I don't think looking back, I don't think we could have done anything differently that would have made it any more smooth. Like, and every location was incredible to work with. Like a lot of times you deal with locations that almost are like frustrated that you're there, and you're like, we're trying to help promote you, like to all the, this video is going to go play in, I think it was Texas and Colorado and California to promote, bringing engineers here to work and families and all this. It's like, we're trying to promote Oklahoma, and everybody that was featured was excited, which it just helps, everybody, like when everybody's there and is like on the same page, that helps immensely with everything just going smoothly.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I can't say that any of us can take credit, but I did feel like we did such a good job picking the week because of the weather.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because that was one of those things. I mean, we did have that one day
morning
of torrential downpour, which was kind of hilarious because we're like huddled in a tent together, like it looks like a tornado on the horizon.
Oh yeah.
Raining cats and dogs, and we're like, I don't know, we'll just hug and hang out. But this was a project where I felt like the sun made a significant impact. And this is something I think I've gotten better at, which I'm proud of myself for, but just actually knowing where the sun's going to be, knowing what time of day we need to shoot it, actually putting it that time of day, mapping out exactly where it's going to be. And it was kind of cool for me. Nobody else really cares. But like when we got to each location, I set the camera up and I'd already kind of planned on it being at a certain place in a tree. And I look up and I'm like, there you are, son.
There.
You're exactly where you're supposed to be. But it does translate into beautiful cinematography. And like, I mean, I don't know if there was a single shot. I mean, really the only shot I felt like got compromised the entire time was that morning of torrential downpour. But because every other shot turned out so beautiful, it was almost like another texture in the mix of the edit. I think will be good.
It worked.
So, I felt really, really good about that.
Because it rains in Oklahoma.
It does rain in Oklahoma.
And then 30 minutes later, it'll be sunny.
Yes,
so
exactly.
there it is.
Yep. Jess, are there any other little things that hit your brain? I mean, did you feel satisfied with the talent? And I guess on the shoot of, I mean, you were kind of helping with a lot of different things, but
yeah, the talent, they all showed up even early. I mean, no one was running late, which was nice. Yep. Usually talent shows up early, so I get to hang out with them. But Maddie, so she had to make a jacket because we could not find.
Oh, yes.
Cowboy jacket.
Yeah, a cowboy jacket that, what do they even call them? Like,
it's like a rhinestone cowboy.
Yeah, it's a rhinestone cowboy jacket. And
nudie.
Yes, nudie.
I don't know why they call it that.
N-U-D-I. We could not find one of those jackets around in Nashville, Colorado, Austin, nowhere. Even Hollywood. Yeah. Or else it was like...
We found one for over 1,000.
Yeah, over 1,000. But come on. We have Maddie, so she can make it. Yep. So she had this jacket, get all rhinestoned out with all these cool flowers that she bought the flowers off of Amazon, and then I think she glued some of them on.
She did. It was a little bit of both.
Yeah, but she sewed a few on, and then she was like, wait, there's such a thing called glue. So then she was gluing it on. She's like, do you think it's going to stay? And I'm like, oh, it'll stay. But it was just a lot of fun, too, to use her mind maps, too, because I was so focused. Well, Forbes was gone on, like, locations and all this. I didn't even think about what all the talent was wearing. You know, I knew. But then on the day of, to just have that sheet to look at and be like, oh, yes, okay, she's going to wear this. He's going to wear this. And then I know exactly where they are because she has everything so organized. So it was really nice.
I will say that scene, too, was specifically fun for me because it was like a behind the scenes of a big movie production, which was ridiculous because actually when we were talking through the pre-pro of that, it was like, should we pull out a Fisher Dolly? And should we have big, gigantic 9 lights? And should we have huge 5Ks? And these are all things that, are expensive. And we would rent these on big shoots, but we don't need them for this shoot. But I need them for the behind the scenes because I'm like, I need it to look like a major motion picture. So it's just this obnoxiousness of like pulling out, a 5-ton G&E truck and throwing, bandit cable everywhere and busting out 200 amps of power. And it's like, but, that shot looks amazing.
It does.
And it's what's funny is it's only 4 seconds long.
4 seconds.
I mean, those 4 seconds, I'm not going to talk about how expensive those 4 seconds are.
It's going to look great.
Yeah.
We casted horses and we casted
animals.
Mini bulls.
Little mini bulls. Those mini bulls were so cute. They had
adorable.
names.
Yes.
So
my favorite talent was the mini bulls.
Yeah, the mini bulls were incredible. But what a cool project. I think in conclusion, I'm very excited for this project to release to the world, and I think people are going to be really excited to look at it, something that Oklahoma can be proud of, something we were very thankful to get the opportunity to work on with ICG and them trust us to collaborate with them on this vision. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Retrospec from the Archives. Hope you found this interesting. If you want to know more about the stuff we do, check out our website at retrospecfilms.com, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.